Hey y'all, it is May 24th, 2020, 2023, and actually, for a little while now, I think we're gonna play catch up, alright? Because, right before I cut on the video, I was doing a little look through my gallery at my various screenshots that I had saved while in the hospital. Some weird, wild, bizarre stuff happened while I was in the hospital. We gotta share it. Alright. One such weird, bizarre incident is this one right here. As I've alluded to before, I got a couple of screenshots of this malarkey. Alright, taking place all in San Antonio. This headline reads, Local high school students march to City Hall to protest against gun violence. And the thing is, this is just a screenshot. I don't know if you could see any signs. Passed House Bill 2744. That young man is about to start crying. People are getting very enthusiastic about it. I'd seen signs, and I don't know if this House bill is related to the signs that I've seen. Let's see, protect something or other, not gun, protect children, not guns. Protect children, not guns. You got a picture of a gun and an X through it. The thing is, amongst these articles pertaining to these local high school students. And this was fresh after one of those mass incidents here in Texas. I believe it was the Allen Outlet Mall incident. I believe it was directly after that. But in response to that, some sort of House Bill 2744, I'd seen a poster that I don't know if this House bill is in reference to that, but I saw a poster of one of these kids holding up that said basically between 18 and 21, you should not be able to buy a gun. Alright, I seen that poster specifically, and I can't help but think that House bill has a lot to do with banning people of 18 years old to 21 from buying a gun. So, number one, the majority of people in high school, and I want to address this, are not 18. Alright. However, it's high school students, and they're marching to City Hall and marching all around. Here's another picture that now they're marching on a track for some reason. I guess because it's like better for their knees. Like another headline. I mean, there was definitely many articles about it. Students stand by decision to walk out in protest of gun violence. If I can even say that on YouTube, despite possible consequences, we all know full well nobody is going to face consequences for walking out of school, especially in regards to gun violence. Of course, they're encouraged to do so. Of course, the staff and faculty have all encouraged these kids to do so. This picture right here, I don't know for certain, but from behind, that looks like the mayor of San Antonio. No homo, but from behind, it looks like the mayor of San Antonio. I got like a huge motorcycle outside, messing up my whole video. But they ain't gonna leave. But so, that looks like the mayor of San Antonio. Might I say he's LGBTQ for life, plus. He is a flaming piece of nothing is the mayor of San Antonio, who recently got elected. News flash, just real quick. Nobody cares who's the mayor of San Antonio. I repeat, nobody cares, all right? So Ron Nirenberg may or may not be this person in this picture. Oh, you think you're fighting the power? Oh, y'all are so, because people are going to listen to you. Oh, because you're so powerful in your message. Oh, you're so rebellious that the mayor of San Antonio is standing right there giving you a power fist. That's how rebellious you are. Demanding that 18-year-old people cannot buy a gun, right? The reason is because y'all don't have guns, obviously. You don't have guns. You were let out by the school. You were encouraged by the schools to do this little protest and the marching around. All right? You don't have guns, obviously. You want to protest to make sure that you are not able to buy a gun. You're already not able to buy a gun, but when you turn 18, you're still not going to be able to buy a gun. And that's how you want it. You don't never want to have a gun. Okay, I get it. You don't need to see, you have the choice. You have a choice as a person. That's what I want to point out. Y'all are so dumb. And you're so collective in your thinking, you're collective minded, that you don't realize that you actually have the individual choice to not buy a gun. You don't even need laws or House bills passed to forbid you from buying a gun. In America, just don't buy a gun and you won't have it. And yet still these people are marching and protesting because they don't know. Okay. And so they don't know. They're talking about gun violence because they're very scared of guns. There's nothing that they could do in a tight situation because they don't have guns. All right. And they don't realize that there's plenty of people, I'm talking about young children, around San Antonio who do have guns. And when they have guns and you don't have guns, they will run roughshod on you and all wild and crazy, all over you. And there's nothing you could do about it. Not in those moments. You're absolutely vulnerable to all the children who do have guns. And those children who do have guns are not going to be in your little parade marching and protesting. In fact, they probably have illegal guns. All sort of savages in San Antonio. Now, I wanted to point this out as well. It's only one example, all right? And when you're talking about San Antonio, this is one of 1,000 different examples. I got it pulled up right here of a young man who is seemingly very savage, right? Or he had done very savage things. And I want to read it with you. At first, I thought there might be some funny business. And of course, everything needs to be investigated, all right? But here's a story, real quick, about a 17-year-old savage. I don't know if he bought his guns legally. I mean, it had to be bought by a parent, I think, at the age of 17. But check this out. Headline reads, 17-year-old fired a handgun and assault rifle at multiple people outside of San Antonio Social Club, affidavit says. All right, so Edgar Alejandro Elizondo was arrested on multiple felony charges. I find it funny that his name's Edgar. It's a funny name. All right, meanwhile, he don't even have an Edgar cut. And he is from San Antonio. Those who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. But a 17-year-old has been arrested on multiple felony charges after he allegedly put a gun in somebody's mouth. Like, I'm talking about wild. He's wilding out. Allegedly. I'm not saying automatically believe all the details of this story, but it's somewhat believable. Needs to be investigated, that's for sure. But it's somewhat believable. So he physically assaulted a person and fired a handgun and an assault rifle towards multiple people last month. He was not giving a F, allegedly. And And nobody stands a chance against him if they aren't strapped up. That's what I got to point out. Edgar Alejandro Elizondo was arrested Wednesday morning on 4 felony charges, including aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, 2 counts of deadly conduct with a firearm, and assault. An arrest affidavit alleges that Elizondo went to a party on April 30th where he became intoxicated and he had a sober acquaintance drive him home. I found it kind of fishy, but it could very well check out. Perhaps there was a sober person who agreed to drive Elizondo home. That turned out allegedly to be a bad move. The two got into a verbal argument, and that's when Elizondo pulled out a semi-automatic handgun and held it under the victim's neck. The affidavit alleges the victim told police that Elizondo also put the gun in her mouth, allegedly, and against her cheek and pressed it to her chin while he squeezed her neck. Now, that could very well be true. All that could very well be true, and Elizondo could be a rampant savage upon society. All right, I would like it to be investigated as much as it can be, but it is a believable story up until this point. Like, according to the affidavit, the victim lost consciousness and blacked out. I suppose that could happen. But what I find very weird is that Elizondo subsequently passed out in the passenger seat of the vehicle. What kind of drugs did he... I mean, certainly Elizondo's on drugs, probably. According to this story, it seems reasonable. What kind of drugs are these people on in which now she's passed out in the front and now he's passed out and they both decide to be passed out right there in the street? Savage. See, I don't get that part. But the victim sent a text to a friend to pick her up. Get this, because she woke up and Elizondo is still asleep like a baby in the passenger seat. When the friend arrived, the victim exited the vehicle and Elizondo woke up. So you woke up daddy. You shouldn't have done that. But she woke him up on accident. The victim ran to the friend's vehicle and she told police that she saw Elizondo pull out his gun. You know that's just off instinct. Elizondo pulled out the gun. I mean, it's like default. He pulls out the gun and gets into the driver's seat of the vehicle that the victim was driving. All right? So she left the keys in there. And that was another mistake by her. Like, she shouldn't have done none of that stuff. The affidavit states that Elizondo caught up with the two victims around Loop 1604 and Babcock Road, where he began shooting at the vehicle with both victims still inside. See that? I mean, that's why I get very confused, and everything deserves investigation, because I don't understand why he's even chasing him and shooting him, other than he's an utter savage. The victims called police and drove to a Privat social club because they said they knew security would be inside. That's messed up. I mean, I know you're trying to save your life, but you're bringing the shooting to a social club, and they don't want no party, y'all getting shot up. According to the affidavit, Elizondo walked up to the victim's vehicle in the social club's parking lot, holding an assault rifle, and demanded that the first victim get out of the car. I mean, that's something else. The fact that they're sitting in a car that's parked right there, and they're just sitting there, that's messed up. He began hitting the window with the back of the weapon because he's an utter savage, and I'm sure that this has got to be on security footage somewhere. And the second victim started honking the horn of the vehicle in order to garner some sort of attention, I suppose, because a honking of the horn not gonna do anything against Elizondo over here, right? Elizondo then fired the assault rifle multiple times and fled the area, obviously not trying to hit them, but I guess trying to scare them. The affidavit states that Elizondo returned to the area twice and shot at the victims and a security guard. Allegedly, just a unmitigated savage. San Antonio police said the first victim suffered multiple visible injuries to her face and neck, and multiple shell casings were found in the parking lot of the social club. A warrant of Elizondo's arrest has been issued on May the 1st, and he was arrested, and he didn't answer no questions, all right? And he's going to have a pre-hearing scheduled on June the 7th. I have to get to the bottom of all this savagery, all right? Elizondo, our man Edgar Elizondo had a bad night, all right, and went total utter savage. And imagine him, he's this kind of savage, and then imagine all his peers who desperately want to be disarmed, even though they already are disarmed. They want the government to step in because they're so rebellious that they want the government to step in and make sure that they're disarmed, so that Edgar can run wild, all right? And anyways, he's just one of many, many, many savage warriors on the San Antonio scene today. And I'll holler at y'all with some more reports a little bit later. It's May the 24th of 2020, 2023.